Hello everyone, welcome to part 5 of the Unreal Engine 4 Wave Survival Shooter tutorial. In this part we're going to add perks to our game, similar to the ones in Call of Duty Zombies. We're going to add quick revive, a quick reload, a double tap, quick fire, and double health. And I've made some 3D models for these. You can find the link to download them in the description, and it's absolutely free, so I suggest getting those and using them in this part. In this part specifically, we're going to cover the quick revive perk. The other three I'll put into another episode, as the quick revive is going to take the longest to set up, and trying to keep the videos a little shorter. So let's get started. I'm going to import the 3D models that I made, put them in a new folder, call it perks. So I'm just going to import and select everything. I also made some icons, which we're going to use in the heads-up display. So you just want to import all. We'll bring everything in. Click yes to all, yes to all. And we don't need to worry about smoothing groups. So now we have all of our meshes, materials, and textures, along with the icons, and it's all right here available for us. So now we'll go into our blueprints, and we're going to make a new blueprint class, actor, and we'll call it, I call mine Second Life perk. At least that's what I wrote on the actual texture, so might as well name it that. So the first thing we're going to do is add a static mesh. Call it Perk Machine Mesh. And we'll go over to the static mesh box here and look for our static mesh. Now it's pretty big, so we can definitely scale that down. Like so. It's a pretty good size. And we're also going to add a box collision. Go ahead and scale that up. So we want it to cover the entire area. And just bring it forward a bit. And that's pretty good. So we'll leave that for now, because we need to make a few other things first. We're going to make some widgets. So new widget blueprint. Call it Second Life icon. Open that up. And here we're simply just going to add an image. Size to content, anchor left side, and we'll look for the Second Life icon. And it appears to have imported it as a normal map. So get rid of that for a second. And we'll just delete it and re-import it. Yeah, there we go, Revert. Not too sure why it's picking that up as a normal map. It's definitely not one. Alright, back to the blueprints. And there we go. Now it appears normally. Scale it down and kind of put it in an area where we know it won't be near our kills, the text display for the ammo and the kills. So that's good there. Close that because we don't need that anymore. And we'll need another widget. Call it life text display. We'll open that up. We're going to add some text boxes. Some just regular text. So we'll bring those in. We're going to need 2. We're going to anchor it to the center of the screen and just try our best to center it. We'll also need to create an input for our so that we can actually buy the perk that we want. So project settings, input, new action mapping, call it perk buy, and set that to whatever you would like. I'm going to put mine as the letter T. And don't need that anymore. So this first one will say press T to buy. And let's double the font size, make it nice and big. Yeah, it's pretty good. And set the alpha to 0.5. Now the bottom one, we're going to put the cost of the perk. So for now I'm going to put it as 1 kill. So that we'll need 1 kill at least to be able to purchase the perk. And that's all we need for that. So back to the perk machine blueprint. We're going to need from the box collision begin overlap as well as end overlap. So from there we will need to make a variable on our first person character to show that it is inside of the collision, which also we want to make sure does not overlap, or does overlap all dynamic, so that it creates the overlap event. So we're just going to call this one second life overlap. Compile, save that. Back to the perk. And we're going to cast to our first person character. Object, other actor. And then from the first person character, we're going to set the second life zone overlap. Set that to true. And then we're going to create a widget, which is our second life text display to let us know that we are in the area. Add to viewport, return value target, and then can actually duplicate this, Control W. Object other actor, set it to false. And we're going to get all widgets of class. Select our Second Life text display. And from there we're going to remove unclick context sensitive and remove from parent. And that way it gets rid of it when we leave the area. So that's really all we need to do in there. So we'll come back to our first person character. Yeah. And we're going to set up the input. That lets us actually buy the perk. So we'll create another variable. Call it Second Life bot. And yeah, so that's all we should need for now. So we're going to get our perk by input, or whatever you decided to name it. We're going to need a couple of branches to start with. The first one, we're going to check to see that we're in the collision, and the next one's going to check if we have purchased it already. And if you want to have it so that you can get it multiple times, you can just leave this part out. But for I'm going to set it up that you can only buy it once. So from there, we're going to cast to the first person game mode. Object get game mode. And then as the first person character, we're going to get the player kills. Check if it is equal or greater than our cost, which was 1. Another branch to check that condition. And then we'll actually need to set up a player lives variable in the first person game mode. So you can open that up, because we'll actually need to do some work in there as well. And we're going to create a new integer. Call it player lives. So that allows us the ability to respawn. So we'll get the player lives, and we're also going to set it. No, not player kills. So true, set the player lives to player lives plus 1. And then we're going to create a widget, which is our icon, and we're going to add it to the viewport. And that way we have a visual display to show us that we've actually purchased it. All right. So now we're going to make our actual respawn function. So back to first person game mode. We'll create one more variable, call it player location, and set that to a transform. So that's going to store our player's location at the beginning of the game, which we can actually set up now. So look for the begin play sequence that we set up earlier, add a pin, and we're going to cast to the first person game mode, get game mode, and from there we're going to set the player location. Oops. And we're going to get actor transform. So that now that at the beginning of the game, it's going to get the actor's location, and that's where it will respawn our character. So to start with the respawn function, we're going to get the begin play event, and we'll also need a custom event called player respawn. Just keep those together. From there, cast to first person character, connect both, and we're going to get player character, and we're going to pull off of the first person as the first person character, and in the search you want to type in bind to on destroy. So now when the character is eliminated, the event is bound to that. From the event node, create a custom event. Let's call it player destroyed. And we're going to get a branch being click. And we're going to check that we indeed have a life so that we can respawn. So on the condition, actually we'll pull in the player lives variable first and check if it is equal to 0. If that is false, we're going to set the player lives to player lives -1. Add a delay so that there's a bit of a gap between the respawn. And then we need the spawn actor from class, which will be our first person character. And this is where we need the player location. So get and plug that into the spawn transform. From the return value, possesses, gonna have to turn off context sensitive, and the target is our controller. Get player controller. And we'll need to re-add the damage heads-up display to the viewport. And once that's all done, then we can actually call a function, or call the event. So, we got that all done. I think we can go test this out now. So, save all. Also, go into the wave spawners. This is something I found out as I was doing some testing and trying some stuff. The box collision you want to set to no collision, because it interferes with the projectile. So do that on both. Set the box to no collision, and that way it won't collide with anything, but the enemies can still spawn. I also slowed down the third person character. And you know what? It would help if we put the actual thing in the game. Spin it around. Yeah, that's probably good there. Alright. Got a kill. There's our press T. Oh, I didn't change the anchor on the second text. There's some extra stuff hanging around, I guess. So now, when our character runs out of health, it should respawn at the beginning. So there's an extra gun in there. Yeah, and you can see when we run out of health the second time, it doesn't respawn. But since we're spawning the first person character at the beginning of the game, we can actually delete it from the actual scene. Because now at the beginning of the game, one will be put in there for us from the game start. Like so. One thing that we do need to change is that when the character is destroyed, we need to remove the icon. Widgets of class. Select the icon and remove from parent. And actually I want to put the destroy actor on the end of that. So now hit T. And the icon disappears. Alright, just change the anchor on that. And there we go. We have a quick revive perk in the game. So that's going to cover it for this episode. Like I said, in the next one we'll add the other 3 perks, the health, quick reload, and quick fire. And yeah, thanks for watching. Feel free to comment if you have any questions, and I'll see you in the next video.